At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Bill Bazzi.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Denise Malinowski Maxwell.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask Joanne Kuzian to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the order of business July 24th, 2018. Regular meeting at Dearborn Heights City Council with the removal of item 11C.
Support.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
If I may, please read a
Please go ahead.
statement. I wanted to let folks know on May 29th, over $8.5 million was approved by the City Council, and this was for and under the Act 345, which is our police and fire pension retiree system. The actuarial report shows a need for police and fire pension of $3.1 million, and I'm rounding these numbers, leaving $5.5 million for health care. Act 345 does not include health care. Therefore, the City Council will have a study session on August 14th, 7 p.m. here at Council Chambers to discuss the establishment of a 115 trust fund for the health care portion and other benefits for our police and firefighters, retirees. And this is under the advisement of the attorney for that board, Mr. Tom Michaud. We want to make sure that the dollars being collected and dedicated for our police and fire for health care and retirees pensions is accounted for. That includes all dollars coming in as we tax our residents for those dollars. And we want to make sure that every dollar collected is spent and accounted for and supports our police and fire retirees and their families. There should be the establishment of a 115 trust fund for certification process by a third-party independent review. This is a board that is parallel to the Act 345 pension, and again, this is under the advisement of that attorney. And that includes calculations to determine the amount of taxation passed on to the residents of Dearborn Heights. We are dedicated to ensure every dollar that is collected under Act 345 is for our police and fire retirees and their families who have made sacrifices serving and protecting our community, which we greatly appreciate and are indebted to. So that is my comment, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Mayor?
I don't know if it was in order to take an item out and then talk about it. One of the things, because we've heard many times, this was all explained during the budget, but please help yourself, and it's for the public. It is a reconciliation of what went into the Act 345 millage. I don't agree with the last comment. In fact, there's some consultants from Plant Moran, but what is being suggested is my understanding, will destroy health care for retirees, police and fire. If I'm incorrect, please tell me otherwise.
Okay, at this time...
Well, if she got to speak, I think
I understand.
It's not giving the truth to the public.
We do have a meeting on August 14th, and at that time, I think we could address it then. Is there any further discussion in regards to agenda approval minus 11C? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next on the agenda, approval of minutes. These are the minutes from the regular meeting of July 10th, 2018.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdullah.
I motion that we approve the minutes from July 10th, 2018, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as outlined in item 4A.
Second.
And it's submitted.
Okay, it was moved by Councilman Abdullah and seconded by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have public hearing and comment on agenda items only. We ask that you step up and keep it to only agenda for this portion. You would need to state your name, address, 2 minutes, and do not repeat what the previous person has said. Anybody?
Council Chair.
Councilman
Ray Muscat, 26911 Havelock. I stand with my union brothers and sisters out there. Over my dead body will a dime of your money be lost. There's no way that I could, as a union man, take anything away from you guys.
And I second that.
Not under my watch. I'm the biggest union guy in this building, and I will not allow that to happen. That's my promise. I've always been a union guy. I've never shied away from being a union guy. I never will shy away from being a union guy. That's just the way it is. If they like it, fine. If they don't, well, I'm sorry for that. I'm a union guy, and I stand with you guys.
And I've got to second what Councilman Muscat said. I also am a union person. I was my entire career with AT&T, and I do support benefits.
Madam Chair, and if I may so chime in, and I know that many of you know that I've stood in Lansing with you, and I stood with you twice so far, and since being a city council member, that includes against opposing the right to work, as well as supporting your union benefits from being cut. I know you've been under attack from Lansing. That is why, again, we're looking out for your interest to make sure every dollar that is collected is accounted for you, for your health care and your benefits. That's what this is all about. That's our promise to you.
Thank you. Is there any further comment? Please step up to the microphone and state your name in 2 minutes,
Good evening,
please.
everyone. Zuhair Abdelhaq. I did drop in your boxes few papers today about letter from Nick Khoury, the treasurer of the state, and another letter from our controller. I just stood here many times and said that I would like to see our employees get what they deserve as far as increase in salary, their benefits, and everything they deserve, because they put their time in their life for us. They deserve to get what they worked for. What we are here for, and especially me, I like to see the money which went under Act 345 and collected under Act 345 is going to the right people, the right accounts. And the treasurer of the state gave the city option for Act 149 to establish a board. And that board will be in control of that money. There will be pension, there will be actuary, there will be correct money collected for their pension. Because I hate one day that our employees will wake up and they don't have enough money in their health care. I am willing to pay, and I hope we all pay, but if the state treasurer forced the city to put minimum 40% in that account, we will be bonding for almost $70 million. I don't know if the city is ready or willing to do that. All I'm asking this city council and the mayor, please put the money where it's belong, through the right channels, through the right, procedures. Thank you.
You very much. Councilman Wenzel, did you have a question?
I wanted to echo what you and Councilman Muscat said. I am a 42-year union member, and we are here to make sure that our unions that work for the city of Dearborn Heights get what they bargained for and they won in bargaining, and that's what we're here to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Please step up to the microphone, state your name, address.
Steve Lobkovich, live on Tulane Street. I'm a retired firefighter in this community. First thing I'd like to comment on, those of you who have spoken in support of the union brothers and sisters that are standing here today, thank you. Secondly, I'm not sure what Mr. Abdelhak's comments had to do with the agenda, But from my point of view, I would like to ask this council, if you are going to bring an item to the agenda, that you have all the facts first. If you cannot, then please do not make proposals that would change the benefits that are negotiated between this board and our negotiating boards. The proposal that was brought to this union, or to this council a few weeks back, was hideous. And it scares the hell out of me to think that my family, after I worked for what I've got, I negotiated some of it, along with Mr. Dan Paletko, with Ruth Canfield and past mayors. A lot of work went into these items to have them potentially erased in this room. That's ridiculous, especially without, there was a 10-minute, from what I understand, a 10-minute notification of your own colleagues of what was going to be on that agenda. That's crazy. That cannot happen in this community. If something needs to be changed, by all means, study it, work with the negotiating bodies that are here. That's what we're here for. That's what you're here for.
Thank you.
And we'll make sure that that money, and if, one other comment, please,
Sure.
short. Act 345 is audited every year to make sure that those dollars go where they're intended to go.
Thank you. In the future, we will make changes. We learn from our mistakes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any further comment? Let's move forward with the next agenda item. We have fund transfers and current claims.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant.
I move that fund transfers and current claims numbers 1 through 36 be approved as outlined in item 6.
Support.
Okay, that is moved by Councilman Constant and seconded by Councilman Abdullah. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Councilman Bazey.
I have a few questions. The first one, we still have not heard anything on for landscaping. Why? This is item 6.6-4.
We have Director McIntyre has signed that. Can you please come up to the microphone? We have some questions on this.
Yes, my question, again, we're speaking, about the union. We want to make sure, again, these are union jobs that Artistic is cutting lawns, city lawn, and we have not heard anything from DPW union to see if that's acceptable or not.
Well, I can't answer that question. I'm not part of the negotiations. I thought you wanted to ask about the invoices.
Well, I don't know why are they cutting city property. We don't have actually a contract.
Let me clarify it. Do we have a contract with them to specifically cut city property?
With the landscaping company?
With Artistic Landscaping?
Yes.
I have not been able to
seen it.
find one in the file. Could you please provide me with that?
Are you there's different groups in here. This is what happened 3 meetings ago when you pulled the invoice. Some of these are not part of union work. These are residential cuts.
Right, understandable. Some of them are ordinance, and you're correct on that.
Some of them are the Hanover houses that are not part of the union work. The demolition properties, there's a separate fund that pays that.
Warren by Vista Maria.
There's a lot of them on here that's easements, city easements.
Yeah, because at this point, I don't see we've got even a contract past 2016 with anyone to cut the grass. Is that correct? Because I have all the paperwork right here.
For residential cuts, the council last year granted a 1-year extension for Artistic to continue. I asked if we could.
You wouldn't happen to know what date that was, because I was unable to find it. The last I found was October.
Residential.
Yeah, residential, not
Right.
city.
Right, because I don't.
I don't remember the date, but I remember.
Because you were here. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. No problem there. But yeah,
But that was for the residential.
yeah, because I see the original was request for city council approval to have the comptrollers advertise for bids for grass, weed cutting, and debris removal for the ordinance department for ordinance reasons.
Correct.
And so it did not state cutting any of our city property that our union workers usually do.
Yeah, in this, you can see that Bill Zimmer signed these invoices. This last time, because there was some confusion of how they were all being thought of as one and connected to the grievance that is pending out there in the process, I asked that, I signed mine, the grant coordinator is signing off on the Hanover properties.
Is anybody here from DPW? There's no...
Right there.
Okay, Sean, can you please step to the microphone? Thank you.
Yes, I do believe there are some lawns that our highway department normally would cut right now that Artistic is cutting, and that's because of our manpower. We don't have enough right now, and we're concentrating mostly on tree trimming right now. So the overflow grass that is getting very tall goes to Artistic.
Okay, because I guess my point is we have no contract with them at all to be cutting that. Maybe we should put out bids for a company if that's going to be necessary and coordinate it with the union.
Again, that contract part is Jack's, but yeah.
Right, it's for ordinance only, though. It's not
That
for
would be
city.
something that'd have to be looked into.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
The second one,
I have a question.
Councilman Wenzel?
Director McIntyre, are there any residential properties that city employees cut, or is it all subbed out?
Any residential properties that are owned by residents?
Yes.
Okay, ask the question again.
Okay, be more specific.
Oh, are there any residential properties that have ordinance violations against them that is cut by the city employees?
No, we've never done
It's all
that.
subcontracted out?
So it's Artistic automatically gets it
Or
if it's an ordinance
whoever we have a
issue.
contract with, all the ordinance violation cuts go directly to the contractor, whoever has the contract.
Okay, thank you.
another item for the Spirit Festival. There's two items here that I didn't see no contract. I know it's for a few $1,000s, but I don't know if...
Director Greibel, are you here? Thank you. Please step to the microphone.
So the first one is 6.7. Second item was 6.8. So there's electrical service, the amount of $39.50, and the second one is for
the bid limit for service-related expenditures is $5,000, and all of those are under that. This is a one-time, one source that we do.
So do you use them every year?
Yes, we have been using them every year.
You don't go out for bids? I mean,
No, I haven't gone. We do price checking, but we still find them to be the cheapest. And Brendel's, they both have really held their prices for the last 5 or 6 years. So we haven't even had a price increase because they understood our situation with our festival and the fact the city was going through a very tough time. They have been holding their prices.
Just out of curiosity, how did the Spirit Festival do this year?
Well, we had a rough Saturday. So we're still finalizing one, but it's going to run at a loss this year because Saturday had one of those annoying drizzles that just went right up to about 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. But I'll have some final figures probably within a week or so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair, I'd like to say,
Councilman Munsell?
as far as the portable restrooms that were provided were outstanding. They're very nice. I mean, they do provide a nice porta-john.
Oh, you mean the trailer? And the porta-john, they do. It's a very good company, very reputable, but when you start renting these trailers can get very, very, very expensive, but they have always worked with us. We've been a good client with them for a number of years, and so like I said, they've been holding their price for at least the last 5 or 6 years.
Thank you.
Councilman Bazey?
Item 622 for, I guess this goes for our attorney, Mr. Miyake. We have few charges, there's a bunch actually, but few charges that I'm concerned with is the TPUM, the union contract. We still have not heard anything on here, the status of the union contract for the TPUM. So there's few charges in here, and we haven't seen a contract that come in front of us for approval. I don't know what the status is with the TPUM contract.
I'll let him speak, but we presented the contract to you.
Not signed by the president of the union. Anyway, that's another story.
The status is that the parties still are in dispute, city's still in dispute with the union with regard to whether or not the December contract was indeed the contract with regard to a number of grievances that have ended up being had and with respect to how to resolve the whole matter. So it is continuing to carry on as it has, unfortunately, in the past.
Okay, and last item, okay, sewer cleaning. Again, you know, we're paying a lot of money for sewer cleaning. I'm curious, this is item 624. Well, Pipeline's doing the cleaning, but yet I think they store their vehicle in our DPW garage. I don't know why that is. Can anybody answer that question? This is a contractor that we're paying, and they're storing their vehicle in our yard.
Although they're not the only vendor, we've allowed other vendors that are using, they do their equipment as a stationary, so you don't have them traveling for 10 miles or 15 miles, so we get charged for it. But Sean, you go ahead.
They do park their vehicles in the yard, and in the cold months when the truck is full of water, we allow it to be parked inside, because they solely only work for Dearborn Heights, and they're on call for us 24/7 if we ever need extra. You know, they do all our routine maintenance. You know, we have to clean every sewer by DEQ contract or their ordinance every 5 years, so we just don't have the manpower to run our own truck that much, so that's why they're in there doing that. And their equipment is in the yard, and it's solely used in Dearborn Heights.
I guess I got a question. They are parking inside a structure that was built to store out-of-season equipment for the DPW, such as our sweepers or our snowplow trucks. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Are they paying us rent?
That I don't know. That's in the contract. That would be...
No.
Well, what
Because I haven't seen a contract for Pipeline. I have seen it for Nagel, but not Pipeline.
Pipeline is contracted. Nagel has the contract with us, and they
subcontract.
Pipeline works for Nagel.
It's a subsidiary.
Nagel is a large
See,
company.
I didn't find that. I know you said that before, and I did search. Yeah, I mean, I found no proof of them being a subsidiary, so that's why I was questioning it.
It's my understanding.
Nagel is just a large company that owns smaller companies, in my understanding.
Okay.
And
Sean, if you could ask them to clarify the corporate connection, but, because
That would work, because,
Yeah,
you know, if we've
I
got a
can do that.
contract with Nagel, we want to make sure that it's legit with them. If not, maybe we need to negotiate a side contract with Pipeline.
Council Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
They don't use any of our fuel, do they?
No, they do not.
So they're not allowed to fuel up their trucks there at all?
No, they do not.
How do we know, though?
Now, as far as the water goes, they do take our water. Is that correct?
Yes, they do use our water, just like any contractor that's doing work for us. We give them the water with the proper equipment to get it out of the hydrants.
So
with
they don't pay
backflow
for that
preventers.
either then?
Otherwise, it would just be an additional charge. They would in turn charge back to us if we charged them for it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Wenzel?
What about liability issues of the subcontractor working on this? Would the city of Dearborn Heights be liable, or would Nagel be liable for liability issues?
As far as I know, Nagel holds the liability insurance that covers Pipeline.
And again, where's the contract?
Okay, I guess at this point, we would need to see the contract with Pipeline to be paying them like we are. I mean, I understand they're subcontracted through Nagel, and Nagel is who we actually contracted with.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, that would be interesting if we had a catastrophe over there and they lost their equipment, if we would be liable to pay for their equipment.
yeah, I mean, we've seen what happened at, Discount Tire House, where our police vehicle was inside and it caught on fire, and then you start asking questions, who's liable to pay for what?
So that would be nice to see that contract. Council Chair, I have a question.
Councilman Muscat?
And I think this might be a real easy one, and I believe it's either going to be the mayor or the comptroller on 616. My only question is, why do we budget something for Guardian Alarm? Why is the budget so high if we're only paying $22.56? I mean, that's $30,000, and we're budgeting $98,000.
No. Contract services includes more than just that. It includes many vendors. Do you know off the top of your head, Linda, have you been here long enough to know? I mean, I could guess, but I'd rather not guess.
For Guardian Alarm?
No, the budget line.
Contract services.
The Guardian Alarm is coming out of there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So any subcontractor that we hire to do
Okay.
anything from window washing to whatever could be.
Okay, that's fine. Because it just looked like contractual service, and then I know we have a contract with Guardian Alarm, and I just thought you're budgeting just $98,000 for them, and I'm saying, wait a minute. Seems like we could put that money to better use. That's all for me, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I think, I mean, before I start, I keep or not approving these here, we need to get a list from the city or different contracts or contracts or rebidding for.
I'll ask Mr. Clerk to provide us with the contracts and when they expire.
Council Chair, it is also possible that we have contracts and do not have a written agreement. You don't necessarily always have.
Well, the reason for a
Yes,
contract would be a written agreement as to what you're going to pay them and what their services are.
Yeah, but the point is that you can have a contract without actually having a written agreement. Despite the laughs out there, that demonstrates every one of us who's been employed often ends up being employed, and we have absolutely no written agreement, but we have a contract with our employer. Likewise, we potentially have the same sort of arrangements that have come into being with the city. If the city wants to end up having a written agreement to memorialize those understandings, then that could be something that would potentially be looked at in the future.
Because I understand a contract basically states how much we're going to pay them and what we expect them to do for that payment and how long they will be working for us. And if there's any liability issues or something, it's usually stated in a contract. That's why you have a contract and just say, instead of saying, go ahead and do it, you know, I'll pay you when you're done.
But oftentimes...
Covers everybody.
I mean, notice how we end up getting invoices routinely on things. Most of the time, those are based on a quote, and the quote is accepted, and that forms a contract. And it doesn't need to end up being as formal as being referred to. I'm not saying that that's indeed the case with regard to all these items, but it is possible that some of these items have developed that way over the years.
Yeah, and I think as a city, it's necessary to protect ourselves, too, that we're getting what we pay for. You know, so they can't come back and say, well, we thought we were only supposed to do this, and we can say, yes, this contract says you do this and this.
And I wouldn't disagree that it would be probably prudent to end up having written agreements for more substantial contracts.
Okay, Councilman Bazin?
Okay, one last thing. If the two biggest ones, obviously, is the artistic and NAGA. We're paying roughly between $30,000 to $40,000 a month just cleaning sewers. So I think we owe it to the residents to send this particular work out for bid, to have different companies bid that, so they can give us something more concrete than like, okay, today we're going to spend $20,000, one day we're going to spend $10,000. This is ridiculous. We need to send it out for bid and just have one quote from a company that's going to be consistent. Just go around the city and clean whatever sewers. And the other one and the other issue is with union, is if these are union positions that I know somebody says it was lack of, we don't have the manpower, but we need to actually look at also the manpower that we can bring in more people to work for the city instead of keep subcontracting everything in the city to that outside source.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Opposed is Councilman Muscat and Councilman Bazey. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is consideration of bids. We have Fire Chief Brogan, permission to bid squad.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to concur with Fire Chief David Brogan and grant permission to go out for bid for a new squad as budgeted in the 2018-19 budget.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton and it's supported by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have reports from the mayor. Dearborn Heights Supervisors Association 2017 to 2022 contract.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Constant?
I move we approve the supervisor's contract as outlined in 8A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Muscat. Is there any discussion?
If I may recommend, and also authorize the mayor and the city clerk.
And authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement.
Okay. And is it still seconded by Councilman Muscat?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
If I might, Madam Chair, on behalf of
Mayor?
the supervisors and the administration, we thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next, under reports from the mayor, we have the 2018-2019 major and local streets budget.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to adopt the major and local streets budget for fiscal year 18-19 as submitted in 8B.
Second.
Okay, that is seconded by Councilman Wenzel, and it was supported by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I see I'm looking at this, and I hope I'm looking at this incorrectly here. I'm seeing that the budget here, and I'm looking at the projected cost summaries for 218 and the 219 road repair. Are these all brand-new streets that are going to be done in 218 or 19? Or are these just a wish list?
No, we think we have enough money, and what we did is, with the assistance of Martin from Plant Moran, Dan Brooks, myself, the controller, and Bill Zimmer, we went through, and we wish we had more money, but these are items that we want to finish and complete. We actually have more needs than what we have here, but the real emphasis on the local streets is to finish the Lewis Manor subdivision, which includes Fairwood, Coolidge, Amboy, and Plainfield. Also, Elan, Rouge River, Clarefield Gully, that is another one that we want to get that done. Then there also is some work on Annapolis. Fenton needs to be replaced, and Charlesworth, and
because I see delayed on here. What does that mean right here, delayed?
Well, some of this was in last year's program, and we're not able to get to it. This year, we believe that we can accomplish everything.
So were those funds transferred to this year's funds? I mean, or did we spend all those funds?
No, they weren't. They were spent, and then because part of the thing is we have to keep a small balance. So what you have is the ending fund balance after these projects are done. In the local fund, it's really, there isn't going to be a lot of money left, but the needs are so great, we're going to whittle it down to that particular amount.
Because I see here the Canfield Circle.
Yes.
And we're going to spend $48,000. Now, how important is that to get done? I mean, it's kind of a parking lot. I understand it, people can fall in a hole or whatnot, but we could use that for a street or that needs to be done? Well, instead of just a parking lot.
We got a lot of demand from the Crestwood School Board and from others, and that's why it is in here. It would be very nice. I know there's at least one school board member, but if Crestwood was willing to throw some money towards this, it would be nice since their students use it for parking. But it's in pretty bad shape.
It does belong to us, and I think then we'll leave Crestwood out of it. But okay, thank you. I just wanted to see if these were going to be etched in stone here, because, okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Just two quick follow-up questions. One is more of a comment for Charlesworth. I'm happy to see this on here. There were residents who I've received several calls from, so they know we're looking at Hass to Richardson and Hass to Ashley, so that's good. So for public information, that is on the list. For Annapolis Avenue, because I know it gets very busy with the schools there, and D7, do we have a timeline we're looking at possibly, so that doesn't become a challenge with parents and transportation?
Mr. Brooks usually, and Bill Zimmer will check with the school districts and coordinate that. I'm not always saying that there's complete agreement on it, but we do notify the school district so we can work in coordination with them, and they're aware of the fact that it's going to get constructed.
Sounds like a summer project.
I'm going to try to get these done right away.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? At this point, I want all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next, we have report from city officials. We have Fire Chief Brogan, permission to accept federal AFG grant.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Abdul.
I motion that we concur with Fire Chief David Brogan requesting permission to accept an assistance to firefighters AFG grant that were just awarded, and the grant is for the station security and station alerting. The grant is for $67,000. The federal share will be $60,910, and our share will be $6,090, as outlined in item 9A.
Support.
Okay, that has been moved by Councilman Abdullah and supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
I don't know if we have our grant writer for the fire department here, but if we do, I want to say thank you. A job well done again with securing grants. So thank you for all of your hard work and everyone involved in the process. Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Sure.
Councilman Wenzel.
I was wondering if Chief Brogan can briefly describe what this station security and alerting is.
Yeah, the station security is going to be the magnetic swipes on the doors, because we've had instances in the past where we need to have individuals turn their keys in, and this way you could just turn them on and off, and so you can effectively lock people out if you choose. And it's just a much more efficient way of locking the doors. That's what we've moved to at City Hall. It's what PD has, so we're going to be doing that for the fire department as well. The station alerting is for calls coming in from dispatch. It's going to go throughout both stations. It's going to have color-coded lights depending on the call. There'll be an automated voice that dispatches the run, and it's a lot more effective communication. You don't have the people having to repeat addresses all the time. It's clearly enunciated. If dispatch is really busy, they don't have to actually get on and physically dispatch the call to us. It'll be an automated voice that comes over and does that. And along with that, it's a heart-healthy tone at nighttime when the lights come on really harshly with a loud tone. I think you just heard guys go out on a call right now. They were turned down really low. And there's been lots of studies when those calls come in multiple times a night, your heart rate spikes up. And this has a softer tone that slowly raises it, lower and comes up. And the red lights and blue lights as compared to the white lights to help protect firefighters' hearts.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Next, we have also under reports from city officials, again, Fire Chief Brogan, permission to update fire suppression system at Station 1.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I request council approve Chief Brogan's letter here to upgrade the kitchen fire suppression system at station number 1. The total cost is $4,192.45 to be paid from contractual services as outlined in 9B.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Constant, because he hasn't had a chance. So that is moved by Councilman Muscat and supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion?
Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
This is something that really should be done. It'd be kind of embarrassing if the fire station burned down because somebody was cooking and left a frying pan on. But I just threw that in for kicks and giggles, by the way. I know that would never happen. But you guys do some fabulous work there, and good luck with all of that.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next, under ordinances and resolutions, we have a second reading of proposed ordinance H-18-05, establishment of a commission on women and girls.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
I move ordinance H-18-05 be considered read for the second time and effective upon publication as outlined in 11A.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Bazey. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton?
I wish to thank, there's been many involved in this process along the way, and it's taken us well over a half a year to get here, but thank you to those who've been involved. I know we had an information meeting at the beginning of the year, and Councilman Abdullah was there, and Councilman Bazzi was there, and thank you, because we have some great information, and we look forward to this commission moving forward, and is a great resource for our community. So thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Wenzel?
Yeah, I asked the mayor, who's going to appoint these positions for this council, to be diligent in his appointments to a widespread of ethnic variety, diversity, Latinos, Caucasian, Asians, Arab, everybody represented in this. We're holding up to you to follow through with that.
I try to diversify in everything I do. Okay. If you have any suggestions from the council members, please submit resumes to me of good candidates.
Okay, great.
Good. Thank you.
Councilman Muscat?
That was my question. I just didn't know how long the process was going to take. So that kind of answers it all. Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and it is carried. Next, we have Mayor Paleco proposed resolution, the Senior Alliance Plan Annual Implementation Plan.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Constant?
I move we concur with Mayor Paleco and adopt the proposed resolution for the Senior Alliance Annual Implementation Plan as outlined in 11B.
Support.
Okay, it's moved by Councilman Constant and supported by Councilman Bazzi. Is there any discussion?
We don't need to read the whole resolution or anything. It's attached.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have Councilwoman Hicks Clayton proposed resolution Act. Oh, I'm sorry, this has been removed. Okay, yep. I just want to mention ordinance and resolutions C that has been removed. Next, we have new business. We have a new business license for Confetti Liquor Box at 3932 Pelham.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Move to approve the business license application for Confetti Liquor Box as outlined in 13A.
Support.
And supported by Councilman Bazzi. So that is moved by Councilwoman Hicks Clayton and supported by Councilman Bazzi. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we open it up to comments from council members.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton.
Just want to see if we have an update regarding Canfield Arena, if that agreement is ready to be brought forth to the council body.
No, we were negotiating it. We actually, I think, had a very productive session with Mr. Mackey, his attorney, and basically I should be getting it over to him tomorrow or Thursday, depending on how much time it takes for me to review it with Mr. Greipel.
We had a good meeting, I think, Friday afternoon, so we spent the time together, and I think we accomplished a lot.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments from any other? Councilman Wenzel?
A couple things is I'd like to, on behalf of the City Council and the City of Dearborn Heights, I'd like to express our thanks to Barb Gorka, Chair of the Watershed Stewart Commission. She's taken it on herself to maintain these rain gardens at the Richard A. Young Center, and it's a hidden gem in Dearborn Heights. If anyone hasn't seen it, take that time to go over and look at these rain gardens. They're very unique and interesting. They take all the rainwater off the building, and instead of putting it into the sewer drain system, into the creek or into the river, it goes into these rain gardens and absorbed with thousands, tens of thousands of native Michigan plants and soaked in transpiration process where they evaporate back into the atmosphere. It's a natural process. Richard A. Young Center also has a very unique parking lot. There's no drains in the parking lot. The water goes right through the parking lot, absorbed into the ground, no runoff water into the creek. Very unique facility over there. And that's, thank Barb again. She's doing a great job. She's taking this on almost single-handedly with some few adult volunteers after co-chair Steve Roberts died. And this is a labor of love for her, and she deserves all the credit in the world for this. And thank you, Barb. Also, I wonder if there's an update on the Van Born corridor.
I don't remember the exact date, maybe Councilman Constance, but we appointed, or maybe Nancy knows the date, but we appointed our members of the steering committee, and they are meeting, I think it's August the 2nd at Wade and Trim, so I would expect that the steering committee will come back.
August 8th.
Pardon me? 8th, okay.
August 8th in the afternoon.
Councilman Abdullah?
Just wanted to get an update from the mayor, if you don't mind, in regards to the Warren Valley contract or council.
We are still waiting for the underwriter with regard to the proof of financial responsibility, which is what we have to have in order to...
That's in regards to the liquor license, right?
That is correct.
And it's still not resolved?
Still, I've told them, I've badgered the agent, and she said, I'll tell them that time is of the essence, have a good day. I mean, it's just taking a long time, and it took a long time for Eric to end up getting his in order, and then I thought we were going to be set, and they said, no, we have to end up splitting it. We have to end up doing a new one. And then we provided them the materials, and we've been waiting.
So it's beyond our personal control as far as the city is concerned, right?
That is correct, as far as I can tell.
Okay,
thank you.
great, thanks. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair?
Councilman Muscat?
To piggyback on Councilman Abdullah, my God, if that was a private business, the person would be broke now, bankrupt, out of business. I mean, I just can't believe it takes us this long to get that done. We signed an agreement with Wayne County back in December, and here we are. We've missed a whole golf season. Might as well just call it the whole golf season. And it just... It's mind-boggling. We can't get something done. It's just like with the Canfield Center. We've wasted a whole summer practice for whatever. I just can't believe we don't get things done. We're at a snail's pace here, and it just doesn't make sense to me. If this was a small business operator, the person would go bankrupt and broke and would just walk away. So I thank you for sticking around and sticking for your guns as far as the Canfield Center, but I don't know what kind of pressure we can put on this underwriter to get this thing on the road. We're losing money.
Well, they're in New Jersey, and as far as I can tell, I've put as much pressure as I'm going to end up being able to put on them.
Gary, can we do any type of where we can close and either hold some money in escrow from the county, or just close but without the liquor license, where the golf course can continue to operate without the liquor license until we get it?
If we close without getting the new liquor license, conditional license, and the other license applied for, the liquor license automatically is gone. These are unique. They are golf course liquor licenses. So they're for an establishment. They're not like something you can hold in escrow. They go away, the right to them goes away, and then we would not be able to have a liquor license at the location until the permanent license would end up being approved by the Liquor Control Commission, which would be 3 to 6 months afterwards.
What about another option? I'm just curious. Maybe if we somehow leased it from the county on a month-to-month basis until we're able to transfer that license. So this way we are operating it versus the county operating it.
First of all, it's not what was approved. And
right.
Secondly, I think that it would actually create a lot more issues. And to be frank, a lot of times dealing with the county is not exceptionally quick in terms of getting things done. And I think I'm being very generous with regard to some of those statements. And there are a number of things that I've received questions on with respect to other items, CSO basin transfer, and other things, and the explanation is not that we've been delaying anything.
It's the same way with, in fact, I'm going to spend all Thursday with the Downriver Utility Wastewater Authority. 3 years ago, the county was going to transfer that to the communities. This is now 3 years later, and Judge Kaufman sent a rather blistering letter saying we need to get this in our fiscal year, which for them ends September 30th. and I will predict right now, they will not hit the September 30th. A lot of the things, and I've always told Gary as to how those negotiations are coming, because they mirror the difficulty. I mean, 3 years when you've already agreed on the price, and you've agreed basically, but the same kind of thing is that the communities, we did our due diligence, and we found out, like, we had to go through all the survey. They don't have property rights agreements. It is just extremely difficult. And then the other problem is they've had, we call it brain drain. They've had some of the better attorneys over there who have gotten offers from the Hodgkin Millers and the bigger firms, and they've left. And for instance, I think on the basin, we've dealt with 3 or 4 attorneys.
I think it's been 4 attorneys at least at this point, and they either go like Great Lakes Water Authority or they end up going into private practice, and then there's a lack of continuity, and then the next person comes in. It's very difficult, and to a certain degree, you can't blame the county because of the lack of stability, but on the other hand, it's not like we can end up speeding the process along by telling them, you've got to speed this up. They don't have people in place. I don't know what you can end up doing at that point.
But our commissioner, who's a big advocate for us, Diane Webb, and I talked to her again today. We talk periodically on the status because she's trying on her side to push it through. But yeah, this underwriter issue is new to me. I mean, I've been aware of it, but I never thought that would be a problem, but it is.
No, it is.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Bazey?
I just need clarification on a building across from the golf course. From one of the meetings, we were told that, correct me if I'm wrong, that place was supposed to be used for an accounting office, right?
I think Councilman Constance said
okay.
something.
CPA, who's now in the building I'm in.
Okay, so what's the status? I asked that question 2 months ago, and I was told that somebody was supposed to go in there the day after the council meeting we had 2 months ago, and nothing's been done, and residents are complaining about kids going across the street using the building for...
No, they're going to be building a new one on the parking lot.
Yeah,
but what's...
Right, but
you're
what
talking
are they
about the
gonna
old
do?
Mountain Jack?
You're talking about the Mountain Jack.
Yeah,
That's not a part of it.
The old Mountain Jacks, it was owned by Paragon Steakhouse, and the owners want, in my opinion, way too much money for it. But they're going to be building, Dearborn Heights CPA is going to be building a new building, but it's going to be on vacant land, not, so the old Mountain Jacks is going to remain.
It's on the east side parking lot of the Mountain Jacks you're talking about.
Mountain Jacks has been purchased.
It has been?
The building has been purchased.
Perfect.
It's been inspected, and he's working on maybe making it a small, like, event place.
Is it even salvageable after being vacant all those years? You think of damage with no utilities?
It's not as bad as you think. The building department's already been there, inspected it, and told them what needs to be done. But
Perfect.
you're correct. The Mountain Jacks, where the building itself is a completely separate parcel than where that new...
It looks like it's a part of it, but it's not.
Yes.
Well, for safety purpose, can we have them boarded up so kids are not going inside? I don't know if it is.
As far as I know, it is boarded up, because I actually was out there last week. I met with the new owner last week. There were some issues with landscaping and him keeping the property cleaned up, and I met him out there. So as far as I know, it's been boarded up. If not, I'll check tomorrow.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I got a couple things I'd like to ask. How does this work when someone buys a home and then buys the vacant land next door to them? How are they allowed to build a house on both properties? How do they join the two pieces of property together without any approval? I mean, who approves this? There's a situation going on Gully right now where there was vacant land where the house had burned down. The house next door to that, which is a corner lot, was purchased, and now they're so-called adding on to the house. Well, they're building a house around a house. They're going to knock the house down on the inside. Looking at it, that's the only way they can do this. And it just seems to me somebody is going around finding a loophole and making it difficult on our assessor and trying to figure out how he's going to assess this piece of property. But how are they allowed just to build on two pieces of property without anybody approving it? Can anybody, I've been trying to find this answer.
I've seen that house. It's on the corner of Ramey and Gully, and I often wondered that myself. I go past it all the time.
I called the assessor's department, I've called Mr. Miyake. Nobody can seem to answer a question of how two pieces of property can be adjoined into one with a house built on it.
What's the procedure? Yes.
Well, I tell you one thing, if there's a mortgage, you can't do that. If they're two separate sidwalls, you can't build on two separate sidwalls in one house. So if there's a mortgage involved, I tell you, the mortgage company will not accept it. Unless they're buying it cash.
I don't think there's
then
a
there's no
mortgage.
I don't know if there's a mortgage, but all I know is there's a house, the permit calls for an addition to the house. And all of a sudden now a garage puts up, they cut down a city tree, and they're building on two pieces of property. I'd like to know how that happens.
We'll have to look, and I don't have an answer.
You know, again, I called the assessor, and I know Jack was out there when they cut a tree down, but it's mind-boggling that somebody's doing this right out in the open, and nobody can answer a question.
Assessor often will combine lots together and make it one parcel, and they also, on the other hand, will take one parcel and split it.
Isn't there a procedure, though? You have to go and, do you have to go before the planning commission or something to do that? And there should be a procedure in place before that happens.
Split's always required here, but I don't know about the adjoining two lots.
Because it was two separate owners.
Yeah,
It's not like they owned them for years.
Briefly, that there are just requirements of state law in terms of what they have to do in terms of giving certain things in terms of lot splits. I would think the issues would be addressed to the assessor or the building department to find out specifically.
I asked the assessor, and he doesn't have a clue either on how that happened.
Yeah, because I know there was a house on the second property, and it was two separate owners, and the house on the second property from the corner burned down, and they tore it down, and it was a vacant lot, and apparently somebody purchased both of them. And we just can't find the paper trail of how it was combined, if it was ever even combined.
I can check tomorrow and let you know
Perfect,
exactly how it
thank you.
happened.
Yeah, and the last one is on our last council meeting on June 26th. I submitted a resolution to get our city vehicles that weren't marked to be marked with our seal. I don't see them being marked, and the resolution had 30 days, and I do believe the mayor said that he would abide by this resolution at the end of that meeting. I'd like to know why these vehicles haven't been marked yet.
I did not agree that I would abide by it. I am looking into it, but time-wise, you'll all get a response in the next day or so.
Council Chair, if I
Yes.
may. I know resolutions sometimes don't hold a lot of weight. I don't really want to go to an attorney and have an ordinance written. But if I need an ordinance written, I'm going to ask you to ask the council or the corporate council to draft a ordinance with everything specified in what I had here on the resolution.
Okay, that's fine. I give you permission.
I don't think an ordinance, you have two different branches of government, and we may come to a disagreement on
I'm asking the corporation council to write an ordinance. Now, I don't know who he works for, but I think he works for us too.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask him for an ordinance of that magnitude, and the ordinance will be followed. I mean, I don't want to have to go through this arguing. The federal government has their vehicles marked, the state has their vehicles marked, the county has their vehicles marked, but Dearborn Heights has vehicle marks, but their supervisors don't have their vehicles marked.
Council Chair, then you want me to end up drafting such an ordinance?
With everything specified in this, and I'd like to have it.
I can put it into some form, and I'll talk to the councilman afterwards.
Okay, yeah, see what Councilman Muscat wants you to do in regards to that. Any further discussion?
Sure.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Wenzel?
I got a question for Corporation Council. The Warren Valley Golf Course purchase, the purchasers, is the sole purchaser is the city of Dearborn Heights, or are there any other entities involved in purchasing the golf course?
No, it's just the city.
It's 100% exclusively the city.
That is
Dearborn
correct.
Heights. Okay, well, I'd also like to thank everyone for showing up tonight, especially the fire department and police department, supporting your fellow workers, showing your solidarity, And all the residents that came out here to speak your mind and listen to our meetings, you should be applauded for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Constant?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to echo what Councilman Wenzel said about Barb Gorka and our new chair for the Watershed Stewards, Steve Ray. And they put in a lot of time. We do a lot of projects at the Richard A. Young Center, at Parkland Park. We have a lot of the Honor Society students from the high schools come and turn out. It's all volunteer time with Barb and with Steve, who's an engineer at Ford. And then just remind everyone, tomorrow at the Canfield Center is our senior picnic. And I know I'll be there, and I think
I'll be there.
Muscat said he'll be there, so
Got my ticket too.
Looking forward to the senior picnic tomorrow at Canfield.
Great. All right. Any other council comments at this time? Mayor?
It's with a heavy heart and real sorrowful that I announce this, but a gentleman who was Senior of the Year, Dick Zarnecki, passed away last week. More importantly to many of us that are certified public accountants, Mr. Zarnecki taught at U of M Dearborn and U of D Mercy. He meant a lot to anybody and everybody that was in the accounting profession. We always, he was Educator of the Year in the MICPA, I think 4 or 5 times. But a mentor of mine, a great gentleman, and all the work he did for the seniors, I just...
Did he teach at U of M?
U of M Dearborn.
Yeah, I had him as a professor.
Yeah,
wow.
Just about everybody that went through any accounting classes had Mr. Zarnecki, and we always said if you could pass his classes, you could pass the CPA
tough one. I remember him.
And that was pretty much true. But a great guy, and he will be missed.
My God rest his soul.
Okay. Any other comments?
One more comment. I'd like to thank the DPW for coming out today and helping out with the rain garden maintenance. They sent a person out there, a girl with I believe her name was April, with a weed whacker, and weed whacked everything for us. Really helped us out a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other comments from council members? At this time, we have an announcement from our clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2 weeks from today is the election, August 7th. We are preparing daily for that. Just a reminder, when you turn in your absentee ballots, make sure you sign it. We need that signature on there when you turn it in or mail it in. A word to our friends that vote at Riverside, precincts 7 and 8. And if you are watching this and you know people that vote there, please make them aware of this. Progress is being made at Riverside. There's construction going on, which necessitated the move of where we usually vote at Riverside. So those of you that are familiar with Riverside, vote at Riverside. You usually enter the door on Beach Daily, which would be southernmost, closest to the light at Beach Daily and Warren. The rooms are being moved. You will be entering the most northern door, still off of Beach Daily, the driveway off of Beach Daily, the most northern door, closest to the traffic light, closest to Kennedy. When you enter that door, you'll immediately make a right, and the first 2 rooms will be precincts 7 and 8. So please remember that. We will, of course, have signs posted on the doors that you normally enter, directing you where to go, but please pass that along to anybody who may be voting at Riverside. Also, Robichaud has undergone some construction in their parking lot. I talked to the engineer there today. He assured me that things will be okay there. Voting at Robichaud will be as normal. There may be some little issues there, but no construction will be going on election day. Kinlock, I went by there. Kinlock appears to be, I have not talked to the people at Kinlock yet, but it does not appear that there's any construction there that will affect the voting. Finally, There's a TV show that the City of Dearborn Heights has on. It's called So This Is What You Do. It airs, I believe, at 2:30 and at 8:30. This month it is running. It is actually what the clerk's office does. I urge you to watch it, not to watch me, but to watch what we do. And there's some tips about the voting this election, and especially about making sure you don't cross over your ballots. Please, if you're a registered voter, make sure you know what precinct you're coming to. Once again, you can only vote Republican, Democratic, or Libertarian. You cannot mix and match. If there are any other questions concerning the elections, please call our office, 791-3432. I'll repeat that one more time, 791-3432. And finally, I see a couple of our election workers here in the audience, more than a couple, several. And I thank you in advance, and thank you always for what you do for the City of Dearborn Heights and the clerk's office. Without all these people, we certainly couldn't put this election on. So thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask for announcements regarding our city. Any public announcements from the departments?
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just want to talk about an event coming up at the library. Wednesday, July 25th at 7 p.m. at Carrollton Kennedy Library. Join us for Super Simple, Super Nutrition. Dr. Carrie Saunders will be talking on how to get super nutritional value from food you find in your grocery store. You will learn food friends and food foes, and little-known sources of cholesterol and why most diets will repeatedly fail. Food samples will be provided, so come on out. I also wanted to echo the mayor's comments on Richard Zarnecki. He was a longtime friend of the library. Many a day he would sit by the fireplace and read his newspaper. His wife, Dolores, was also the longtime treasurer for the Friends. So I just want to echo that. He will be missed. That's all for now. Thank you for your time, and see you at the library.
Director, what was that date again on that food thing?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Wednesday the 25th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Speaking about our television channel was out today on Comcast. I got some phone calls that Comcast wasn't broadcasting for some reason, and I don't know who to call to get it. I don't know, sometimes there's a power bump and it goes out, so.
Yeah, that seems to happen a lot.
There was a power outage at Berwyn today. It should be back up.
Okay, all right, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public announcements? Okay, at this time, we are going to open it up to public comment. We ask you come up to the podium and announce your name, your address, and please limit it to 3 minutes. And we also ask that you don't repeat something that has already been mentioned.
Chief wants to say something. Thank you, Council. Jim Lynch, Hazelton Street, Dearborn Heights. I came across something that was kind of concerning, and it kind of reflects the tone of how the council has been operating. It actually has come to a head in the recent months. It was a post on Facebook, and it involves the council chair making a suggestion that the police refuse to do something as if they were instructed.
Okay, are you speaking as an employee or as a resident?
I'm speaking as a resident.
Because that involves the police department and your ordinance.
I'm speaking as a resident, and I'm concerned with the comment that was posted on the Facebook page from the council chairwoman in regards, and it states, the Dearborn Heights Police refused to run the plates when I asked them to.
And that's a correct statement.
Okay, and so it
was not bashing or slandering. It was a correct statement, and I will stand behind that.
So could you clarify what that meant so that people don't assume that it was in a negative connotation?
No, it was not meant to be negative. It was just meant to be a statement.
So you were saying that, so what?
It was just a matter of fact.
So your comment was basically saying that the police acted appropriately by not providing the information that you requested.
It's a simple statement. As if you read the whole thread, it could have got really out of hand, and I felt I needed to step in and stop it then before people got off on a sideline.
Well, there's a lot of insinuation.
To keep it
Yeah,
I've not heard
just from
anything.
you, just in regards to a lot of things that
See-
are posted publicly by our city officials. To me, it seems kind of not in the best interest as for our city or our residents to have members of the team that are supposed to be promoting the entity, which is the city of Dearborn Heights, in a negative way.
All right, thank you very much for your opinion. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Any
I
other
guess I
pub-
get cut short. It's less than 3 minutes, but thank you.
It was 3 minutes. Please step up, speak your name, address, and
Robert Haddis. I have purchased a property in Livonia. I am living in Livonia right now. I still own 2 properties, one at 500 North Beach Daily and a property on Inkster Road, so I'm still a tax-paying person here. I listened to the previous comment, and I think it should be restricted to just comments rather than getting into a dialogue between the chair and somebody up here. One thing I am encouraged by is that I'm seeing a more robust council that isn't afraid to ask the questions and so forth if there's questions to be asked. I'm happy to see that the firemen and police came out here. I came in late, so I'm not sure what issue was being discussed, but on their behalf and on the residents' behalf, I speak and say that I advocate that you take up a responsibility as you have and ask the questions if there has to be clarification. We're not doing it in Washington. Let's do it here at a local level, because that's where it starts, at a local level. If you can't do it at a local level, you certainly can't do it at a national level. So I'm encouraged by that, and I would like to see contracts, and Mr. Miyake was, I think, correct on that. They're probably better off to memorialize some of these contracts so that people that haven't been around a lot and aren't accustomed to some of these things, that they know, because it'll save a lot of asking and so forth. And as you get more in tune with what's going on in this city, it'll save a lot of questions and so forth. And so I encourage things like that. But again, on behalf of residents and police and firemen, I encourage a robust discussion. I encourage bids to go out, as was done on the Canfield Center, and hopefully that was rewarded. And I wasn't here for that. Hopefully it was rewarded to a person that was deserving of it, and hopefully they fulfill the expectations that they promised, and hope, because I know at $15,000 a year, I think that we were getting, and I don't even know if we got all of that, but hopefully, if you get involved, everyone gets involved. I think it's in the administration's best interest and in the council's best interest to have these type of discussions, and maybe this city will have a future, since it says a city with a future, and hopefully it continues and has a bright and prosperous future.
thank you. Any other public comment?
Excuse me, I forgot one thing, and if I could, this will be the last meeting before the election. The city clerk's office will be open the Saturday before the election. I believe the date is August 4th. The Saturday before the election will be open from 9 to 2. So any needs you have, it will be election business only, absentee ballots, but know that we will be available that day for you. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Please step up to the microphone, state your name, address.
I'm over here.
Oh, the chief.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chief's going to speak as a resident. I feel obligated to say a few words. I know Captain from Fire Department, he was up earlier and spoke. We have a lot of firemen here, a lot of policemen. I've worked with a lot of them, a lot of years' experience. What I do ask the council is, you all as a council are stressing transparency. When you have an item, such as this 345, we have many years of experience out here. Fire guys have negotiated many contracts. Chief Gus was here many years before me, many contracts. Captain Isaac, we go back a long time. They've dealt with civil service. Captain Myers and Captain Walsh stepped out. They're on our Act 345 pension board. They're the experts. They know. So if we're going to preach and stress transparency, let's reach out to the people in the unions that know what's going on. I don't know the first thing. I've just spent many years here, but I've seen the experts do it. So that's what I just asked. I want to thank them for showing up, and it just shows our employees are dedicated to this city, past employees and present employees, and when the issue hits home with them, they're going to show up. and I commend them. They take an interest. So I just ask for transparency and get all of them involved. They all have the experience, and they've paid their dues. So check with them. They have a lot of the answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other comment? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
How you doing? My name is Steve Waz. I'm a resident of Dearborn Heights. I live on Kinlock Street. I'm up here on behalf of the Dearborn Heights Raiders, not the actual organization, but as a concerned parent, speaking for the concerned parents that the kids play with at the field. The first thing I want to discuss is the fact that last year we paid over $200,000 to build a bathroom that took over a year and a few months to be built. Honestly, number one, what they paid for that bathroom is ridiculous. It could have been built for a quarter of what they paid. And number two, any general contractor could have probably got it done in 2 months. I was at the shed last week, and we still have no power. I contacted Ken Grable, and he told me that they had problems with the electrician that was there, and he hired a new electrician. So that means on top of the 200 and some thousand they've already paid, we're paying another electrician. That's number one. Number two, since there's no power at the shed, we weren't able to turn on the sprinkler systems on the field. It's not a football field anymore. It's dirt. Our season starts in less than 2 weeks, and we don't know how we're going to get it back up and maintained to where it needs to be. Number three, there's been a hole, I want to say a good 10 by 10 giant size hole on the side of our shed that's been covered with plywood that's soaked. It's just fell in. It's nothing but a hazard, and still nothing's been done to be repaired on that part. Our concession stands, nothing but holes in the walls, leaking roof, trip hazards all over the floor. The bathrooms are disgusting. Nobody even maintains them. They don't pick up the garbage. I mean, I understand, you know, it's a broad city, but that has to be controlled by people that are receiving this information. Like, we're calling and we're talking to them, but nothing's being done.
Okay. I can understand, because I was I was just made aware of this the other day, and I did go out there, and you are right. The football field is horrible because it hasn't been watered. There is no electricity. I did see the big hole with the wood over it that is actually rotting and going into the hole. And I was going to contact Director Greibel and see what could be done, if we could do anything in regards to this to help you. I do have pictures, and I will pass them along to him.
Okay. All right, and just the last thing, over by the pavilion that's there, there's nothing but liquor bottles, and it's honestly, it's disgusting. It's kind of embarrassing that we played in the Downriver Junior Football League, and there's communities in the Downriver that are way less fortunate than we are, and their facilities are not anywhere as bad as ours. It's an embarrassing when they come to play at our field.
Madam Chair?
Thank you. Councilman Abdullah?
Well, I would suggest, I mean, since Ken Greibel's here, you know, based on these situations, my son played for the Dearborn Heights Raiders, and it's a great organization, and they did a great job as far as teaching my son, and just overall, it's just a great experience for me as far as my son's concerned. But I'm concerned with some of these situations, especially for the kids. So since Ken is here, if you don't mind, Ken, if you could address some of these situations.
Yeah, in regards to the contractor, you know, as maybe the city council is aware, sometimes when you go low bid, you run into a lot of issues, and we push as hard as we can with the architect and the contractor to get the work done, and unfortunately we run into delays. What you run into with low bid is they have to be very creative in finding their subs, and then there's delays. So doing the bid process sometimes is a detriment to getting a project done. If we could just go hire the person we want, you know, things can get done very quickly and you know, on time and on schedule. But we do run into those difficulties. This isn't the only project I've been involved in. I think the city's had other projects that have similar outcomes at different times. In regards to, you know, he mentioned, yes, I did talk to him. I'm getting an electrician out to get them tied in, and we'll get that taken care of, hopefully, you know, either the end of this week or very early next week. I'm trying to push those things through as best I can. I was the one who actually got that field put in through a grant and actually had the sprinkler system put in, which for my first 20 years here in the city, they had a football field with no sprinklers, and they survived. You know, the grass will come back. It will come back. Once we get water to it, it will come back, and it will come back very quickly. No different than your home when your front lawn goes brown, gets dormant, you think it's dead, and all of a sudden you get a good rainstorm on it, and it starts to come back. So I think it will come back. In regards to the plywood, I was totally unaware of that. So I'll have to check with building and maintenance and find out how that hole was created and who put the plywood over as a temporary measure. I was unaware of that. No one's ever brought that to my attention.
What about in regards to the liquor bottles, since there's a lot of kids there, obviously, and that's a concern?
Well, that becomes an enforcement, police enforcement. That's after hours. You know, if kids go into the park, then we've been working with the police department to try to catch the kids. You have those situations.
Because I know some residents have also complained, that has nothing to do with you, but in regards to that particular park, as far as drug use and what have you is concerned.
But that's mainly after hours.
Right.
And we have been working with the police department.
Well, what about as far as cleaning?
Oh, it's clean. We have staff in there. There's 2 rangers in there. They go in and pick them up. It's no different than the Horseshoe Drive around the Canfield Center. Every night, there are people out there and they throw trash on the ground. We send staff out. It's a very tedious process to go through to keep sending people out to do the same thing. We're working with the police to try to catch these people because you have to catch them littering. You can't just make the assumption because they're there and the litter's there.
We think it's the firefighters coming out of the station.
The chief and I communicate regularly. We're aware of some of these situations, and they have been effective in solving them, but unfortunately it takes some time, and it takes us as a community to work together. But most of the things that you're mentioning with the bottles and all those things, those are after-hour activities that go on in the parks, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night.
And we've solicited, we've met with some of the local residents, and there actually are eyes and ears, and have notified the police, and also have rather detailed records of license numbers and other things.
I'm talking about Park Lane specifically.
Yeah, and we also have devised, and we met with the neighbors because we have a potential solution that Bill Zimmer had suggested, and it went kind of 50-50, 60-40, but we're going to institute that, and we hope that's effective.
Have we held back any money for that contractor for not doing his job?
Oh, yeah, we hold money back. We're paying him as he completes it. The restroom is completed. The actual connection, it wasn't part of that project. That's separate. That's why I'm handling it separately. I was going to use their electrician, but I thought his price was too high, so I got our electrician that I deal with through the festival, who I felt I got a better price. And so I'm now going to get him out there, and we'll get
So we're not going to pay the other guy at all?
No, we're paying the other guy. We're not paying the other electrician.
Yeah, I'm just saying
he's a subcontractor. He was just a subcontractor of the general. His work is all done. We have access to the restrooms. We're using the restrooms. But now it's a matter of I have to tie in 2 areas. I have to tie in the football building, and then I also have to tie in the pavilion electrical back into that building, because that's the main hub. Now, the problem we had up until then, as I mentioned, was DTE telling us that the original service was good, and then they got a new planner on the job, and then they told us the whole thing had to be replaced. That takes time. That adds more time to the project.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
So I guess my question, you mentioned the lowest bidder, so $200,000 for that small bathroom was the lowest bidder?
That is correct. Yeah, what you don't realize is when you go Davis-Bacon, it automatically goes up 30 to 40% in cost.
Well, I guess I wasn't here to,
and what we did is we bid this. So all these people saying they had somebody who could do it cheaper, where were they when we put it out for public bid? Where were they?
Well, what happened, so you got $200,000 you paid for someone that there's an issue with the building, so how come the original contractor is not held liable for the concerns?
That wasn't part of the specs. Everything that the contractor has done now is completed. He's doing a couple minor punch list items, cosmetic things that are in the building that we were unhappy with, that he's finishing up. And we still have money held back that will be coming down, but in all essence, the project is completed. Now we're tying in all the other areas of the park. But I keep hearing about this building, but we bid it. So you need to look at your city procedures and the process of the city, because we followed everything to the T, and this was the low bidder. There were some bidders that were even $100,000 higher. So, and community development block grant program, when you go out that under Davis-Bacon, it does add additional cost to the project.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment?
We still haven't really heard about the floor and who's responsible for fixing the floor, the holes in the canteen area where people are gonna get hurt. So who's responsible for fixing that?
All right. I'll give him a chance to answer that. No problem.
Yeah, I have to go with our building and maintenance department and find, because once again, I was unaware of these issues. If they aren't brought to our attention specifically, I put in work orders. When I find out there's issues, I do put in work orders with our building and maintenance department. So we'll have to take a look and see what has to be done.
After the meeting, get with Ken and so we get a punch list and we'll follow up.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do write up a list and get it to me, it'd be easier than that, do it that way. But yeah, get me the things and we'll have them checked out. We're trying to knock off as many things that we possibly can with our staff.
Okay, any other comment? Okay, at this time, I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of your evening to attend our city council meeting. And everyone have a good night.
Motion adjourned. I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Bazey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We're done.